or they don't know, or they just going up voting blindly, so they're not making change. And that's the whole crux of the system. Everybody complaining to somebody who can't fix nothing. They lying to their kids. Oh, you're not big-headed, baby. Your head it's just a little larger than most. You big. You're a water baby. Just get over it. But that's the system. It ain't cause kids are cruel. And that's DVP's 13-cent worth. And I've enjoyed the show, Queens.
Thank you, DVP. We appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Later, lovelies.
Hey, go ahead, Shay. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. I'm sitting next to a king, Shay. I'm sitting next to a good friend of mine who's a journalist, and he shot me a note because he don't want to talk on air. But he said something that I thought was telling, and I just wanted to tell you, ladies. He said the family unit has gotten weaker from like foreclosures, crises, recession, all this stuff. He said, meanwhile, technology has gotten stronger. And I thought that was a very telling quote because technology encompasses more than just the internet. We're talking about the media, the whole social piece as itself, reality TV. We can tie all that stuff into it, but that was a really good point. He said the family gets weaker, but technology seems to get stronger, which it's affecting millions and millions of, he said, families. They're in crisis, and bullying is the last straw for people who are in distress. So I just think that's a very interesting point.
I just don't understand. I don't know why, but I just don't. It's so hard for me to understand what would make a child want to kill themselves based off of something that somebody is saying about them, even if it is something that they're saying about them continuously. And I understand that words hurt. I totally understand that words hurt. But I just don't see how that can diminish a child's value for life so much that they want to take their life because, people are, there's got to be somebody somewhere that's telling them, okay, this too shall pass. And like you said, with the technology, becoming, and technology is way more prevalent. But my whole thing is, I feel like if I were one of those students and it couldn't escape me because of cell phones and this, you know what? I wouldn't take my phone to school. Or if I took it to school, I would turn it off and have it off all day while I was at school. I wouldn't look at Facebook. I wouldn't look at Instagram. I wouldn't look at Twitter. I wouldn't check my text messages. I wouldn't look at any of that. Or I would have my text messages blocked so that nobody could send me any nasty messages. Or I just wouldn't even be on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram so nobody can send me any nasty tweets or put any nasty messages on Facebook or anything about me that's going to hurt my feelings even more. So that way, you have a way to escape it. And if I were in, I was in chorus. I would concentrate on my music. If you were in band, if you're a student that says, concentrate on playing the saxophone, concentrate on football, concentrate on golf, concentrate on baseball, concentrate on track, whatever it is that you do in school extracurricular, and let that be your focus. Instead of all of these mean, nasty things that people are saying to you that make you feel like you need to take your life and that you don't have any life to live for anymore because of ugly things that people are saying about you.
Well, that would be great, Dawn, if reputation wasn't so key to most kids. Everything is dramatic when you're a teenager. Let's just put it on out there. I've never known any teenager that wasn't dramatic. Everything is a major deal in their life somewhere between the ages of 14 and 17. The other piece is those in bands and in football and in golf and whatever, if that information is circulating in school and social media, then you're getting bullied in those same places where you have those extracurricular activities because those kids in those activities know what's being said about you. So how are you escaping it? You're not. It's constant. So I'm just putting that out there.
And I wanted to talk to your point. You said, about the kids, you don't know why they would do that and how could they do that and maybe they should take up an activity or do this or do that. I hear what you're saying, but I have to take the other side of that because if you've ever been hopeless, if you've ever been in despair, if you've ever been hurt, you have thought some thoughts that were not good thoughts.
whether as a child or as an adult. And I speak for me in saying this, that being young, and if you grow up in a household that may not be all that you want it to be or all that it should be, having had friends who grew up like that, I could see where their hopelessness and their despair came from. So whereas you may have grown up in a home where your support was different, where they continually build you up and they just told you, baby, don't pay attention to that. You have a gift, you're chosen, you're God's child, and all those things that encourage you to help you persevere and push past those negative and those naysayers. A lot of kids don't have that today. So if they're beat down at home and they come out and they're beat down at school and they're beat down by society, then guess what? They're tired. They're tired of being beat down. So for them, I would imagine it's an escape. Some say it's a coward escape. It's not to be forgiven. It's this, it's that. And we can argue and debate all of that on this show on another time, at another time. But if you've ever been in a place where you've been hurt, if you've ever been somewhere where you had no hope, then I get it. It doesn't make it right. But they don't have someone there to encourage them. They don't have maybe what you had or what I had. They don't have a mentor. They don't have anyone to look to. And the ones that they did look to, which may have been their friends, guess what? So that their friends are not the butt of the jokes, they're going to turn around and make them the butt of the joke. So if you thought you had somebody that was in your corner and you realize one day, damn, my parents, my friends, what do I have to live for? I'm hurting. And if the children don't have a place to go with their hurt, they don't have an outlet, it'll start with drugs and alcohol or whatever else. And then, it comes a day where they say, I've had enough. I've had enough. And then they take that step. And I'm not saying that's the right step at all. We've got to be in tune with our young people. We've got to be in tune with ourselves. We've got to be in tune with our family and friends because, I'd be the first to say that there's been some dark days and some dark times for me. But I trust God just that much. But there might be somebody out there who don't know God that way yet or who hasn't reached that point yet or may know God but just don't know to turn to him at that time. So in that respect, I say that I understand.
Yeah, it's just sad. I don't want kids taking their lives and feeling like when they got so much to live for, even if it doesn't seem like they do in that moment, like it's not so bad that you got to take your life. I mean, that's just killing me because I actually have a friend who has a friend who her son committed suicide and he was 17 or 18, I think a year or so ago. And, she is I can't even describe the amount of pain and misery she is in because her son committed suicide. And her daughter found him. He did it at home. He hung himself at home. And they came home and found him. Jesus. And, her life has just been in turmoil ever since that. And I'm just thinking, God, what could have been so bad for him that he felt like he had to die? Like, it's just too much. It's overwhelming. It really, really is. Yeah. It's just overwhelming.
It is. And that's why I said we got to be the difference we want to see. Maybe it's getting out in the community, mentoring more. Maybe it's just trying to, some way, connect or find a group, find a niche. I know they had the Big Brother, Big Sister program out there that, was instrumental and with a lot of kids and a lot of children. I don't personally hear too much about that, but it just maybe because of where I am. I'm not in that, arena. I'm not working that part of it at this point. But maybe that's something we need to do and take a look at because I'm working to try to change that, to start with young women that might be at that 15 to 17 years old. They need help well before that. But at that pivotal point when their life is changing, when their body's changing, when they feel low self-esteem, and we've got to get a hold of them because they are our future. And like you said, Dawn, that has got to be devastating. My heart goes out to the young lady. I don't even know her. But I just can imagine the loss. And in that way, because you want to say, what could I have done differently? What did I miss?
Well, yeah, I agree with you, Shay, absolutely. And I just want to bring up the point that Shay made earlier and piggyback that these kids that have been bullied, they grow up to be adults. And so recently, a couple of days ago, a young lady was out in the social environment, and she rejected a young man, and he shot her because she didn't want to be I mean, she wasn't interested, and she just, she said, "I'm not interested." She was trying to do her thing. She was partying with her friends or whatever, and he shot her dead and killed her in the club. And I just wanted to bring this point up. I think this is all related, because rejection is a big piece. Feeling rejected, feeling depressed, feeling like people don't care for you. You want to take out people. You want to take out people. You want to take out yourself. Whether we always jump back to the Unabomber, but that's why we got serial killers. That's why a lot of our serial killers were rejected by women. I'm just keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I'm saying that it's a constant a circle, and you go from a child phase to an adult. And I will say this, coming from a personal experience of being bullied, I didn't get bullied all through school. I got bullied in junior high. I didn't get bullied in high school. But when I did get bullied, it changed me. It motivated me to want to do better, work better, and not be around certain people in an environment. And it's so funny that now I come home, and this is just my personal testimony, I come home to visit my mom, and she's always bumping into the same girl who treated me like hell. And they always want to know how I'm doing, and they thought I was so smart, and they've heard great things about my career and what I'm doing now in Atlanta, and they're just so proud, really. At first, I was kind of like, really? What? But then I had to learn to let that go, because what I did realize is I hadn't forgiven that situation, and it wasn't doing nothing but hurting me. But that's an adult story, because bullying can affect you. And it can affect you into adulthood. You just have to have the right outlet. You have to have somebody to motivate you, mentor, family, friend, whomever it is, to show you your worth, to explain to you how you're worth it. And I just don't think a lot of these kids have that, and that's the case. Shay?
Right. I'm looking at a point that William made here on our chat, and he had said that people commit suicide when they have no hope, and that to the point of where they feel hopeless. And then he says, think of the devastation a child must feel that makes them take their own life. That's deep, because when you're a child, that should be the best time of your life, having fun, no responsibilities. Somebody pays the bills, you look for something to eat, it's there. Life is supposed to be the best time of your life. But for some of our children, it's the worst time of our life. And unfortunately, they cannot disconnect from social media, which William had said here earlier. Kids don't have the strength of character. Disconnecting them from social media is impossible for them. But what I would say is that if we don't pay the cell phone bills and we don't have internet, they'll have no choice. I'm just saying. But see, the problem is some of us adults can't go without it.
Good point, Dave.
I'm just saying, if we were able to lead by example, same thing with voting. If we go to vote and we take someone, as William said, he took some people voting, as he's talking about in the chat. If you guys are reading the chat, you would see why I was laughing. But he took some people to vote. He said it took about 4 hours to shuttle them. He took 24 seniors to vote on Tuesday morning. But the same thing, if we were to take someone, whether it be our child, to show them, to lead by example, we have to start then, explaining to them why we're doing this. Because, say, child, when I'm gone, this is for you. This is so that you can make a difference. Because, 30 years ago, somebody took me, and I was able to see. And the same thing with our children. Put down your cell phones at the dinner table. Put down the phones. Put down the laptops, the iPads, and all these other little gadgets that we've got, and spend that quality time, family time. Make it mandatory. We used to have to eat dinner every night together, every night, and every Sunday. And there were no distractions. We couldn't even eat with our arms on our elbows on the table. And you better not slouch. Now kids are eating all over the house, if at all.
That drives me nuts now. I remember I went to breakfast with a friend one morning, and we were just sitting there, talking, enjoying each other, whatever. And this family came in, husband, wife, and son and daughter. And the son and daughter were both, teenagers. And, okay, first thing that bothered me was that the son had a hat on. And I'm sorry, but I don't know, that when I was coming up,
you didn't wear no hat at the table when you was a boy. You didn't go into the church. You didn't go into school with a hat on your head. That was just not appropriate. Okay. So first of all, the fact that he had a hat on his head was bothering me. And I was observing them as they were sitting at the table that was maybe 2 o'clock for me. So I could look, quite across at them. And the children were looking at their phone. No, I'm sorry. So the son had a hat on his head and earplugs in his ear. So I'm assuming he was listening to, his favorite music or whatever. And the daughter was looking down at her phone the entire time. And the parent didn't say anything. They just let them continue in that behavior. And as I was sitting there observing, and it was a white family, not that it matters. It doesn't matter white, black, it doesn't matter. But I was just like, really? Like, y'all are okay with this behavior? First of all, he would have took the hat off his head and the earplugs would have come out. The music would have come off. Okay? You can turn your music off while you're sitting here at breakfast with your parents. Mm-hmm. And the phone, I would have told my daughter, you need to put the phone away, sweetheart. You can look at the phone later. I mean, you're at Frying Biscuit, enjoying some great breakfast, and you are just in your own world like it's a detriment that you're having breakfast with your parents. But it bothered me so bad. And I was just like, wow, like you said, things are just so different now. Not like it used to be. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
I second that.
I was just upset that the parents didn't say anything to them. Like I wanted to say something, but obviously I couldn't say anything because it wasn't, But I was just like, y'all were okay with this behavior, really? Like I don't know. It just
Heaven forbid you say something to start another thing. But we got to do better. But ladies, the time has gone by. It's the end of our show. It's gone by so fast.
And it was good too, time. Good stuff.
But you want to make some closing comments, Heidi?
I just want to continue to encourage everybody to not give up. We always say, we do Shay saying, you got to be the change you want to see. So I think that there's strength in numbers. I think that if we continue to educate our communities, you can start just by educating the children around your block and the parents and folks around you. If you keep people in the know and you keep boosting them up and letting them know, giving them good reasons why we should continue on this path, then things like voting and bullying and so forth, we can weed this out of our community. But once again, I believe this is always a collective effort. But it starts at home, and I do believe what William said. It does start at home. So, I just I encourage everybody to continue to talk to the people around you in your neighborhoods and in your community.
Yeah, very well. Very well. I concur with what you said. So, was there anything else you wanted to add for your closing remarks?
No, just good conversation, good show. That's it.
No. Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you, Shay.
Oh, okay. Well, and I'd just like to say in closing, if you see something, you say something. And we had a show on that before. Same thing as it pertains to voting. Educate. Take someone. Explain to them. They can be your age or older, but show them. Lead by example at all times and at any and every opportunity. You don't have to be the oldest or the youngest to make a difference or make a change, in my opinion. And for bullying, you have to respect our differences. And bullying goes so much, so much deeper than just our children. But it applies to adults. It applies to race, gender, sexual orientation. I mean, it runs the gamut of things, and we just have to realize that we are all different, and we have to respect each other's differences. We may not agree with them, but you have to respect them. That's what I would say. And we have choices and decisions that we can make. And we need to choose the ones that's going to have the least amount of consequences to hurt someone, because you never know what someone's going through. So if you can't speak a word of encouragement, don't speak a word. In my opinion. In my opinion. But we thank you all for joining us this week on A Queen's Eye View. Next week, we're going to have a hot topic for you guys. We're not even going to talk about it today. We're going to put it out there on Facebook and social media and see how many of you are looking and who's going to be tuned in next week for this topic that I'm sure you're not going to want to miss. Very controversial, but it's information, it's power, and it's knowledge. But we, the ladies of A Queen's Eye View, would like to thank you for joining us. I'm Shay.
I'm Heidi.
I'm Dawn Michelle.
And we're A Queen's Eye View. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.